Okay, let's talk about something we've actually built. And we're very proud of these two apps that I'll talk to you today about. This one's been a little bit longer in the making than we hoped, but it's because of the complexity that we've encountered. So, KPMG Law Data Breach Assist. As the name suggests, as my naming and branding people tell me, it has to describe what it does. So it assists our clients, our organisations in determining whether they've got a problem around data breach. And I expect a number of you in the room are aware of the data breach legislation that came out in February 18. And this simply allows them to go through an intelligent questionnaire and determine whether what's happened to them is in fact a data breach that requires notification. In doing that, it actually documents all those events, steps, remedial actions they took, and then gets a report at the end, which they could conceivably give to the Australian Information Commissioner, saying, this is what happened, this is what we're doing about it. Just have a few screenshots. First one here, this is what we settled on in terms of the interface, what it looks like. Pretty clean, very nice, and easy to understand. But as a person who's just had a potential data breach, they don't want to be confused by anything, or really simple and clean. So we did a bit of wireframing to get there. Okay? We settled on this one at the bottom corner, which is sort of, we got to pretty clean white background, but it took a bit of iteration to get back and forth. Didn't like the top left at all. This one here was too dark, but it took a bit of time to get to where we wanted to get to. So that wireframe became pretty important to get to that final place we settled. This is quite a complicated app by the time you work through the legal content. So we wanted to have this side panel, which allows them to know where they are in the app at any point in time. And again, working through how that best presents. So we need to have a slide panel. Now, process mapping. I've lost my title at the top there, but process mapping became very important. For those of you that may have some familiarity with the legislation we're dealing with here, there are a number of types of data breaches, and indeed you can have multiple types in one event. So you have to work out how that process map works. At a high level, pretty simple. Set up your app, screen what's actually happened, and then decide which path to go down. But be aware, it gets very complicated very quickly when you're talking about what devices you lost, what records you lost, what type of records you lost, when did it happen, how long ago did someone report it. All these things have to be covered off. So you get a process map like that. Now, you can't read that, but what that actually got to was, even in doing that process, as I said before, we discovered that, and we have to go through all those questions again. What? No, we don't. If those questions are the same, it's the same event, we don't have to go through it for that device, that device, that device, that record. We can truncate that and say, actually, we can get straight to the end really quickly because of what we've seen. Or, 3 questions in, you find out you've got a problem, you've got to report that breach. So we can go straight to the end and say, you've got a high risk, get onto that commissioner tomorrow. Okay, so there's an ability to jump certain logic. And then we get to the end, you have a nice report that's been automated, and we have something we can actually tangibly take to the next step, which is then reporting or working out how you troubleshoot or remediate what's happened. You have a full transcript of what occurred in collecting that information from the user, and then you also have what KPMG produces like a risk rating of sort of low, medium or high risk based on what was being presented. You get a nice glossy that comes from KPMG, and a nice report saying, Dear Jane, whoever filled out the report, this is what you told us. We think it's an unauthorised disclosure. It happened 17 days ago. You've still got 13 days to report. We can help you do that. Okay. So the last one, which I'll spend just a few minutes on, is our most successful app that we've built today. And it's in the context of, sort of a law context, it's immigration law, and how when visitors come into Australia, whether they have to get a visitor visa or what type of visa they have to have. And then, just making through this diagram, it's pretty easy to explain. Employees come into Australia and they have to decide whether they need a visitor visa or whether they are going to be subject to tax or superannuation because of what they're doing in Australia, how long they're in Australia, etc. So the client that we did that service for recognised that it's an important thing to be on top of, but guess what? It was really hard. Okay, so us as the advisor, they outsource it to us. When everyone's coming in, they email us, they call us, we exchange checklists. What are you doing? What are you doing? How are you doing it? Who are you doing it with? And then we come back and say, well, based on what you've told us, you need to fill in this visa. Here's the link to an email. Go off and prepare that, and we'll help you lodge it. That, in its very nature, is quite arduous and can be very time-consuming, particularly when the people are difficult to contact. So we thought, there must be a better way of doing that, so we digitised it in this app. They go in there, answer a few questions, it gets to an automatic assessment. Based on what you've told us, what you're doing, how long you're here for, you get either a sub 400 visa, here's a personalised email, takes you to a link that has that form to fill in. Comes back to us, we help them submit, and it's all done. But more than that, the HR department that are responsible for this have to know what's going on. They have to know what employees are coming, whether they've got the right visas, whether KPMG signed off on what they've done is appropriate, so that when they get to the airport, they have the right visiting visa to come into. So there's a nice database that's built along the way, and there's a separate app that actually publishes that database, so they can go in at any point in time and go, in the last month we've had 193 employees that came into Australia, 90% of them had visas, 10 didn't need them, and this person here is difficult. So we have that ability to publish that sort of information as well. Pretty simple interface. This was built by one of the guys that had 3 days of training. 6 weeks later he built this. Okay, nice skin. Context of coming into Australia, so there's a nice skin in the background. There's about 30 or 40 questions depending on the answers you provide. It then automates an email which goes out to those people that interacted with it. Also an email back to KPMG saying someone's just used it. Here's the outcome, perhaps you give them a call, or it's been automated, are you happy with that? Very simple. But when I say successful, it's now being used 300 times a month by 300 separate employees, and for the 5 or 6 months it's been up and running, they use it about 2,000 times. So that's a good news story in terms of something that's really simple. It clearly automated a process that was very manual and quite frustrating to do sometimes, and it has brought great user experience for our client, let alone the team that's servicing that client. The only other comment I'll make before finishing, I guess it's understanding the capability of something that at the outset is very simple. No code, don't need to have any coding experience. You can very quickly turn it into something that can really change and disrupt a process that you thought that's just how we have to do it. There's a number of other apps I can talk about which do just that. They might just be making something more efficient. You often get other benefits out of it you weren't expecting. Yes, there's a time saving, but sometimes there's better integrity or better accuracy if you've got a better audit trail, or you've got a database that's sitting there that you can tap into and understand what's happening and how long it took to do something. So there's a lot more benefits that we're seeing coming out of these apps than just digitising or putting something into an app to get to a remote outcome.